Today, we have another interview in action from the conferences that just happened down here in Miami and Orlando. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16-hospital system and creator of This Week Health, a set of channels dedicated to keeping health IT staff current and engaged. We want to thank our show sponsors who are investing in developing the next generation of health leaders: Gordian Dynamics, Quill Health, Tausight, Nuance, Canon Medical, and Current Health. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. Here we go. All right, here we are, ViVE 2022. We're here with Cara, Babachicos, right? South Shore Health System. Great. Wow. What do you think of the conference so far?
It's actually really exciting. It's
different.
Yeah. I like the vibe.
Yeah.
The vibe of ViVE.
The vibe of ViVE, yes. And I've talked to some people who are here, and they're just trying to survive. There's a lot of acronyms coming out of it. It's really interesting. Tell us a little bit about South Shore.
So South Shore is a regional community health system about 10 miles south of Boston. We're actually in our 100th year anniversary this year, so we're celebrating 100 years as being a hospital, a health system. We're actually trying to do a lot, with as much as we can. We're trying to be the provider of choice in the community. We're the place that you go to for health and wellness. We've expanded our population health platform. We're mobile integrated health. We have urgent care centers, ambulatory practice. We're a 400 bed hospital with an extremely busy emergency room.
So you're one of those people who has a bunch of vowels and consonants in your title. So you're innovation and?
I'm a chief digital and information officer.
Okay. So what does that look like?
So what's really interesting is it's a new title for me. I just got it actually a few months ago. But to me, and my elevator pitch, if you will, for that job is that it's trying to take what we already have and bringing value to it, right? So we have all the big systems, we have Epic, we have Workday, we keep buying a bunch of great systems, but how are we using them and leveraging them to actually make our patients' life better, our providers' experience better, how are we taking extra steps out of the process? That's part of what I see my job as.
It's really interesting. We're having a lot of conversations because I just look at you guys and I go, what's top of mind?
Yeah.
And experiences. I mean, obviously cybersecurity and pandemic, but it's orchestrating an experience is almost a new muscle for healthcare. We're trying to develop something that we haven't had before. So when you look at that, what kind of experiences do you find are important to the consumer, and how are we addressing those?
One huge one is getting to see your provider in time and getting in to see a specialist. And you have to have open schedules and availability so we can give them all these great apps, but if you actually go in to make an appointment and there's nothing there, we've got a problem. So we're trying to actually get more efficiency and optimization even in the provider schedule and trying to get them more templated so that we can do a lot more of the automation.
So a lot of that ends up being operational work, doesn't it? It's not technology per se. We can do it, but when we go to the back end, we go, oh wait, we have 17 different intake forms and we have 15 different scheduling, and the physicians aren't providing their open time. I mean, there's a lot of...
It's a lot of culture change, and my whole mantra is people, process, and technology. All day long, I feel like most of what I do is negotiation and helping people understand the people in the process, and that the technology is just there for the ride, right? Like, we try to enable it, but without those two pieces, you're dead in the water.
When you talk about the culture, I'm curious with your culture. When I went into healthcare, this was a while back, so 2012, I remember the first meeting I went into, I said the word consumer, and I got hammered, just absolutely hammered.
Yeah.
Have we made it past that? And is your culture now saying, look, we want to compete for building a better experience for these people?
So we use the word consumer, but I think you still have to know what room you're in and when to use it and in what scenarios. So when we're talking about looking at our call centers and our turnaround, I try to use the word consumers. But when we're talking about COVID and patients on the floor, I don't feel like that kind of is the right word at the right time.
Right, because the consumer denotes choice and those kind of things. I mean, they're people who are coming into your ER via an ambulance. They don't care about your scheduling and your online app and those kind of things. Then they want you focused in on
the quality of care and those kind of things.
Right.
And the CIO role really has to cover the gambit. We love to talk about digital, but at the end of the day, that EHR has to work. We have to keep making it, a better workflow. So what's top of mind for you right now as you sort of look forward?
So part of what I'm trying to do is we put in Workday, and we went live during the pandemic. And part of it is now going in and making sure we're really getting the efficiencies out of it. So we still have processes that were kind of overlaid with the technology. We have entirely new leadership with great vision and big thinking, and they want the data and they want the metrics. And when you put these reports, these systems in, and you don't think about what the end's going to look like, you're often found that you're handcuffed and you can't do anything. So we're going back and trying to reorganize and rejigger and change processes and make sure the data is highly credible.
We keep coming back to this. We did Workday where I was CIO, and it was a 2-year process before we actually got on Workday. And people were like, what were you doing? They're just sitting around doing nothing. I'm like, no, we had to redo everything in the back end. We had too many job descriptions. We had some union labor, some non-union contracts because we were in different states and whatnot. And at the end of the day, they're like, look, you need to clean up almost 100 years of HR policies, practices, and procedures. We had to redo job descriptions and all sorts of stuff.
And policies and procedures, even simple little things about how we do a work change. You change your hours, it's a policy that you had to put a rec in to change hours for someone, which causes all this confusion in the system. And you have to go back to, stuff that isn't that technology driven, but it's part of the foundation.
And I found Workday to be pretty flexible. But I almost get scared when a tool is too flexible, because our organization would have demanded to use all the flexibility, but then you have to support it on the other side.
So I think the flexibility is good, but you have to have a plan, and you have to have a vision for what it wants to look like, because that flexibility can just be your junk drawer moving into a new system. It does have a fair amount of guardrails, so which I did like is when we went live, you started to find out about the things that where people were doing that was a one-off, and they couldn't get around it anymore because we did have some guardrails that forced you into kind of a bit of a process that was better than where they were.
But the experience for the employee on Workday versus what we had before was they're like, hey, thank you for bringing us into the 20th century.
Exactly.
It was really interesting. So what do you expect to get out of this conference? Are you looking at, there's some really small booths over there of companies I've never heard of, and you can see the owner, the founder is sitting there at the booth.
I know, it's so cool.
Are you looking at some of those companies, or is it?
Well, I kind of like this because it helps me think about what's possible. I feel like a lot of times I get stuck on the treadmill. You come into the office, what are your strategies you're working on? You don't always have that time to kind of think about where you want to go. And I was just sitting and doing one of the hosted buyer meetings and, kind of learning about a product in 15 minutes. And I'm like, love it. This could be something we could offer. And this is, and I feel like sometimes when I come to this, it can be overwhelming because you realize how much you don't know about what's going on in the industry, even though you try to stay up on everything.
Yeah, and you can only do so many projects.
Yeah, exactly.
So talk about the hosted buyer program. I've heard really positive feedback from both sides.
Yeah.
It's, for lack of a better analogy, it's speed dating or meeting with the solutions.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like if you got the pitch down and you can kind of get to a quick elevator pitch around what it is your product does, then you can get into the conversation of how it might fit in the organization. I think it's great. It kind of takes hundreds and hundreds of emails and all the things that we get bombarded with. I love it. It's like the QuickBooks, the cliff notes of what you need to know.
It's 15 minutes, and after the first 5, you know whether there's a fit or not.
Yeah.
And then I've heard somebody say, after the first 5, we knew it wasn't a fit, and so we just had a conversation about the industry and what was going on and that kind of stuff, and just sort of traded notes and whatnot. And you can 15 minutes, you can build a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, and then I love how we have this. And then there were education sessions, and then there was also some of the focus groups. So I feel like I've got a good mattering of different things going on to keep me busy.
Cara, I want to thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Thanks.
Another great interview. I want to thank everybody who spent time with us at the conferences. It is phenomenal that you shared your wisdom and your experience with the community, and it is greatly appreciated. We also want to thank our channel sponsors who are investing in our mission to develop the next generation of health leaders: Gordian Dynamics, Quill Health, Tausight, Nuance, Canon Medical, and Current Health. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.